So I've marked my circles for the armhole because you're going to use the side seam, you're going to use the front notch, the back notch, the shoulder seam, and you're going to use the 2 dots. All of those are going to be markers for how you put the sleeve in. One thing you want to make sure of is that you put the right sleeve in the right armhole. So since this is the front, this is the back, I am going to use the sleeve. So here's the front notch and here's the back notch. So that's not for this side. And even when I dismiss one as being not the right sleeve, still want to check, because it's possible, and I've done this, it is possible to cut the same sleeve out thinking that you have 2 different sleeves, where I have cut either the same left or the same right, whatever it was. I have done that. So you just want to make sure that you have a single notch here and a double notch here, and on the inside I have the dot that's going to match up with the shoulder, and then the front dot, and then the back dot. So now I'm going to sew my sleeve closed here, wanting to make sure. There we go. So the sleeve is going to get sewn, and because this is cut out, you know, it's not on the grain, you don't want this to outstretch. So as it's laying nicely, I'm just going to put pins in there to keep everything even. So while I'm at the machine sewing the sleeves closed, I'm going to sew the sides of my blouse and interlock the sides, and then I'm going to interlock the bottom just so I can have all that ready. So now I got to remember which side my shirt is on. I think it's this side. So here's the, so when I laid the sleeve out, this almost looks nice open like that, but I am going to put elastic on it. Probably. We'll see. Okay, so here is the front, here's the back, here's the front, here's the back. So this is the sleeve that goes into this arm. So the first thing I'm going to do is, this is not going to be a whole tutorial on setting a sleeve. Oh, but before I do that, I need to finish the seam on my sleeve. But the first thing I do is that I pin all of my anchor points. So I pin my sleeve together, and then once that's together, then I turn the shirt wrong side out, and then I work this way on the sleeve, and then I'm gonna sew it up. So before I do that, I'm gonna finish my seam here. I'm gonna serge it and then set my sleeve, and then I'll be back. So now that I have my sleeve pinned in some, now is where I do the easing. And I'll just be honest, setting in a sleeve is it's probably one of my least favorite sewing activities. I hope to one day find it very enjoyable and be able to say, ah, piece of cake. But 2026, January 2000, no, what is this, February 2026, it's not in my deck right now. Okay, so now I can see where I have to ease this fabric into this space, and then I have this amount of fabric into this space, and just keeping everything in this quadrant is already, it's just a task in itself. Hello, sewing friends. So It is a week later since I've been working on this project because your girl has been doing things, and I wanted to sneak in like 30 minutes here and 30 minutes there to do the video. But when I do that, what happens is the tutorial doesn't get posted because I went and completed a project without recording it. And so that has happened to me time and time again. But I was disciplined. I waited until I was able to record. So I went ahead and I finished the bottom edge. But what I'm going to do is, I gotta press that right. It's a boxy edge. We don't want a boxy edge. And so what I want to do is on the sides, I'm going to get a ruler. On the sides, after I press this, I want to create some shaping here. And so what I'm going to do is going to lay my curved ruler on here, and I'm going to use my measuring how far from here did I start. 1, 2, 3 inches from there. So let's make it the same. And then round that off, and there I have that. I want to cut that off. I'm cutting under it because I don't want to cut too much off. There. That's nice. So now I will put this on the other seam, matching up that seam to this seam, laying it flat, and I'm going to cut this other side off. Voila. I decided that I'm not doing the cummerbun. Got rid of the cummerbun, and I'm making a tie, a built-in tie, one of my favorite things to do. So I want to make sure, here is my collar, so I only need one, so I can put this away. I'm not going to need it, but now I have these other pieces. So let's see what I have here, because I was going to have to piece this together to make the cummerbun out of these pieces. Yeah, so this was going to be this piece right here. But so first thing I need to do is I need to straighten these pieces out, and then I'm going to open up the seam, and I'm going to put the belt into the seam. It's my favorite thing to do now. So you just want 2 straps, so sew these together, press them and then fold right sides together, sew your 3 ends, and then turn it out, and then I'll top stitch. No, I'm not going to top stitch these. No top stitching. Okay, get to sewing. So this is where I want the where I'm going to sew it at an angle. So I'm going to use a 1/4 inch, and then from here, so see how I have that line right there, and so it's going to end up at first I was going to do a different angle, but this is the angle that I'm going for. So once you have your pieces sewn together and then sewn down across the end and then down the long side, if you have a tube turner, you can use a safety pin to turn it out, but the easiest for straps is using a tube turner. So I put the tube all the way into the strap, then I take this dowel and I stick it through the hole, and then what happens, I'm just going to hold it there. Now I'm going to just slide it down, so now the dowel is on the inside and the tube is on the outside. Then I slide it through just like that. I use the dowel to point out my ends, point this out. There we go. So now with the sleeve, so you have this bubble seam right here. Don't want any bubble seam. So the best way to get rid of a bubble seam is to take your seam and you're going to iron it flat. So I'll just do it real quick. I don't want to burn my mat. I'm going to press the seam flat like this, so that when you go to take your tube, then press it again flat this way, you'll have a better chance at getting that seam right on the side of your belt, and that's where you want it. You don't want to sew your belt and you have this seam going down the middle of your belt. And that could happen, but I know when I wear this, I'm going to I always press my belts whenever I wear a shirt that has a cloth belt. And so I'll just press this nice and flat, and then I'm not going to do any top stitching because I don't think I want to do any top stitching. Still to be determined. All right. So my straps are done. I did not do any top stitching. So now I'm going to put my shirt on, and then I'm going to mark where my natural waist is, and then I'm going to put a pin there, and then that's where I know to put the strap. So if you already know, you can measure from your armhole down to find that, but I'm just going to try the shirt on, and I'm going to put a pin to where I want the strap to start. So I've tried the shirt on. It was a little difficult to get the fitting right because my neck is not together, and so the shirt was just slouching off my shoulders. So here is where I am going to mark right here. So I'm going to go ahead and match up the other side. And then I'm going to open up the shirt. Stick the pin on the inside. There we are. So I serged it already, but that's okay. We'll just open it up. So this is the top. I'm gonna and then I'm going to put the stitch side down, so not facing up towards the armhole but facing down. So I'm gonna slide it right in between, right here, get it open. And so make sure that the seam is facing down, and it's not. There it goes. Now, oops, see how it turns? Gotta be careful. I'm gonna slide it in there, just like that. So I wanna make sure that it's nice. There. So I'm gonna put 2 pins because I do not want this moving. Okay. And then I'll restitch that, and I'm not going to serge that area, but I will finish it with a zigzag stitch. So I've done that side, so I'll go ahead and repeat that on the other side. So I have my side anchor belts, side sabs. Oh my goodness. So there is the anchored belt. I like it without the top stitching, so they're on both sides. I'm still feeling kind of about the sleeves, how I have them set in, because I see looks like tiny puckers. But I'm going to explain how this cummerbun is made, even though I'm not making it, and hopefully it'll make sense. So there's 2 pieces, the upper and the under, which pretty much means the front and then the back. So the upper cummerbun is the part that people are going to see. This is it right here. And what you're going to do is you're going to put, whatever size you're at, you're going to put gathering stitches in between there. Now the rest of this, from the circle on, that's going to be your seam allowance. So whenever you're going to put loose stitches in here, and then here, these dots here is where you're going to put the button and the buttonhole. So that's all this piece is. And then here is the back piece here. So the difference between the front and the back is the front is a gathering line and the back is the actual stitching line. So when you put the loose thread in here, when you gather it, you're going to gather it until this piece matches this piece here. So the gathering is all going to be right here, and you're going to gather it until these dots match up. So the dots match here, the dots match there. This is all going to be wrinkled in. And so once you have that together, then that's where you're going to stitch. You're going to have one line of stitching going right through there. So this is the gathering line, this is the stitching line, and back here is going to be the center back. So one side is your button, the other side is your button loop. Same thing for the other side. So when you have this together, and it'll be easier to work on this back piece. So this is going to be your center back. your center back is going to come together. So where you have the 2 dots, that's where your loop is going to go. Loop, loop, loop. And then on this side is where you're going to, where you'll put your buttons. And then, so when you do the loops, the loop is actually, it's going to be a tiny strap. So imagine this is a tiny strap. You're going to fold it. It'll be cut. So say this is the loop. The loop is going to go, see how it goes from 16 to 17. Just like that. You want the raw edges matching the raw edges of the cummerbund, and then you want to make sure that your loop is not too big and not too small. So you're going to want to put a pin here. You want to put some basting stitch, and you want to get the button and you want to slide the button through, and you want to make sure that the button can go through, and you want to make sure that it's just going to anchor. So once this side is for the belt loops, and not the belt loops, the button loops, and then this side is for the button. So that's how you make the cummerbund. So remember, once again, gathering stitches, takes the thread, bunch it up. When you get the width here, matching the width here, you're going to take this you're going to take the 2 pieces, right sides together. So say this is the right side of the cummerbund, the front, and this is the right side. You're going to put them together just like this. You're going to leave an opening. I suggest leave an opening right here, because you're going to sew this together. And then you're going to turn it out, then you'll stitch down your sides.